Good morning, all of you, and welcome to the online session of microprocessors and microcontrollers class. In today's class, we will discuss the next category of instructions in the instruction set of 8086, that is processor control instructions. Okay, so these are the instructions that control the processor. Okay, so processor's actions, processor's status after performing any what you can say arithmetic or logical operation or any other data transfer operation. Okay, so any operation, after any operation, the processor status, the status of the processor will be indicated or understood by the status register of the processor. Okay, so we have a register called flag register or status register that indicates the status of the processor. Okay, so that status of the processor can also be controlled. That status of the processor can also be controlled by using the processor control instruction. That means we can modify the status of the flag register contains. Okay, so you have several flags in the flag register, right? So those flags can also be controlled by using this processor control instruction. Okay, when you are controlling that flag register means what? You are indirectly controlling the processor itself. You are indirectly controlling the processor itself. That is why the name comes here, processor control instruction. So the point is clear now, and we'll see what are different processor control instructions that we have here. So the first one is STC. STC. Okay. So STC means what? Set the carry flag. Set the carry flag to 1. That means what? The carry flag value. Okay. So whatever the carry flag value may be. Okay. Before writing this instruction, whatever the carry flag value may be, it may be either 0 or 1. Okay, it may be either 0 or 1. Okay, whatever the state of this carry flag, after writing this instruction, the carry flag will always set to 1 value. Will always set to 1 value. Okay, that is the meaning of STC. When you write STC means the carry flag value will get set to 1. Next one. Okay. Next one is what? CLC. What is the meaning of CLC? Clear carry flag. Clear carry flag. That means the carry flag value will be set to 0. Set to 0. Okay. So previously, before writing this instruction, whatever the value of carry flag may be, the carry flag value will now get set, will now get to a value called 0. Okay, so STC assigns the value 1 to the carry flag and CLC assigns the value 0 to the carry flag. Okay, when you need to set the carry flag, you have to use STC. When you need to set 0 to the carry flag, you need to use CLC. That is the meaning. Next instruction is CMC. CMC means what? Complementary carry flag. Complementary carry flag. That means what? You have to complement the value. Suppose, let us say the carry flag value is, before writing this instruction, I am talking. Before writing this instruction, let the carry flag value is 1. Okay. So after writing CMC, now what happens? This carry flag value will get complemented. Complementation means what? Now the carry flag value will be equal to what? 0. In the other case, if the value is 0, before writing the CMC instruction, then now after writing the CMC instruction, that will be complemented to 1. Okay, so just the value of the carry flag will get complemented. Whatever the value of carry flag it is there, that value will get complemented. Okay, Next is STD. STD. And this instruction deals about the direction flag. This instruction controls the direction flag. That means STD means what? Set the direction flag to 1. Set the direction flag value to 1. Okay. And similarly, CLD. CLD means what? Clear the direction flag. Okay. So when you want to set the direction flag to 1, we have to use STD. When you want to clear the direction flag and put the value of direction flag to 0, then we have to use CLD. Okay. Next one, SCI and CLI. Okay. These two instructions deals about the interrupt flag. Interrupt flag. Okay. So I told you what is interrupt. Okay. With an example I explained you in the previous classes. Try to recollect that, or else we are going to deal this interrupt concept very deeply in the coming classes. Do not worry about that. Okay. Interruption means what? When a process is being conducted by the processor, then higher priority process, another process with a higher priority will come. Then the process that is undergoing will be interrupted for some period of time, and the other process which is having higher priority will be taken over by the processor. Okay, that is nothing but interrupt. Okay, so how these interrupts are provided, how they are acknowledged, how they are accessed, how they are processed, that we will see in the coming classes. Don't worry about that. Okay. So now, so in order to indicate the interrupt, in order to indicate the status of interrupt of the processor, okay, whether the processor is in interrupt state or in the normal state. Okay. So in order to have an indication, we use this interrupt flag. We use this interrupt flag. Okay. So in order to control that interrupt flag, we use two instructions. One instruction is SCI, that is the interrupt flag, and the second one is clear, CLI, clear the interrupt flag. That means in the first case the interrupt flag will be enabled. That means it is set to 1. In the second case, the interrupt flag will be disabled. That means it is set to 0. That is the meaning of SCI and CLI. Okay. Next, NOP. NOP means what? No operation. No operation. This NOP is nothing but what? It is used to indicate that it is used to indicate that processor is performing no operation. Okay. Next, HLT means what? Halt. Halt after interrupt is set. Halt after interrupt is set. That means what? As I told you just now, that when higher priority when higher priority operation comes in, then the processor which is already processing some operation will get halted. That is indicated by this halt. That is indicated by this halt. Okay, HLT. Right? Next thing, just a minute. Right. Now, next one is wait operation. Wait. Okay. So this wait operation is done when we are using the test pin. Okay. So as I told you, when you are working in a multi-processor system, that is in the maximum mode of 8086, we use this test pin. We use this what? Test pin. Okay. So when the test pin is active, then the processor goes into wait state. In order to indicate that wait state, we use this instruction. Wait instruction, right? Next, ESC, opcode memory or register. That means it is used to pass instruction to a coprocessor which shares the address and data bus with 8086. 8086. Okay. So these three instructions you have to understand that they are used in the maximum mode of 8086 microprocessor. Okay. We know that the 8086 microprocessor works in two different modes. One is minimum mode and the other one is maximum mode. In minimum mode, only single processor systems will be there. That means in a system we'll have a single processor. We'll have a single processor. Okay. But in the maximum mode, when you are operating a microprocessor in the maximum mode means what? We have multi-processor. That means we'll have uh, more than one processor. Okay. So in that case, when we use ESP means what? When we are using ESP means what? We are passing the instruction to a coprocessor. Coprocessor means what? The another processor which is there in the system. Okay. We are passing the instruction to the coprocessor which shares the address and data bus of with 8086. Okay. So the other processor will share the address and data bus with what? 8086. In order to indicate that we use what? ESP. Okay. And in order to lock, okay, so we saw this lock instruction, lock, what you can say, lock pin when you are doing, when you are dealing the pin diagram. So lock bus during the next instruction. That means what? When you are working in a multi-processor system, the access of address bus and data bus, or the access of the bus system of one processor can be restricted when we are using this lock. When we are using this what? Lock. Okay. When you are using this lock instruction, that particular processor bus system is locked. That means no other processor in the system cannot access. No other processor in the system can access this bus system of the processor which is locked. అంటే ఏంటంటే ఎప్పుడైతే మనకి నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాసెసర్స్ ఉన్నాయో ఆ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాసెసర్స్ లో ఏదైనా ఒక ప్రాసెసర్ కి మనం లాక్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ యూజ్ చేసాము అంటే ఆ ఆ ప్రాసెసర్ యొక్క బస్ సిస్టమ్, ప్రతి ప్రాసెసర్ కి అడ్రస్ బస్సు, డేటా బస్సు, కంట్రోల్ బస్సు ఉంటుంది కదా. సో ఆ ప్రాసెసర్ యొక్క బస్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది దట్ కెనాట్ బి యాక్సెస్డ్ బై ద ఎనీ అదర్ ప్రాసెసర్ ఇన్ ద సిస్టమ్. అది అన్నమాట. ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ లాక్. ఓకే, అండ్ దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ ద ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ that are used for the processor control. Processor control. And one more important point that I want to mention here is, see, this is very much important point, and this will establish a relationship between the addressing modes and the instructions. Okay, so as you people know, we have been trying to establish the relationship between this instruction set and the addressing modes from starting of the instruction set itself. Okay, similarly we'll also try to establish the relationship between these processor control instructions and the addressing mode. That means to which addressing mode these processor control instructions belong. Okay, try to understand one more time. I'll repeat. So to which addressing mode category, these processor control instructions belong to. Okay, see, so in all the instructions that we have seen till now, in the processor control instructions, we don't find any operand. No operand here. Okay, no operand here, right? No operand here, no operand here. Okay, so no operand here, right? So we don't find any operand in any of these instructions. Okay, so if we do not have any operand, and we only have opcodes in the instruction, then that particular addressing mode comes under implicit addressing mode that we discussed at the end of the addressing mode. Okay, that type of addressing mode is called what? Implicit addressing mode, where you do not find any operand. Okay, implicit. Okay, so implicit addressing mode. Okay, so all the processor instructions, all the processor control instructions comes under implicit addressing mode, as they do not have any operands. They only have opcodes or mnemonics. Right? So that is all about the processor control instructions. Hope the category of instructions are clear to you. Let us move on to the next and last category of instructions in the 8086 instruction set. Okay, so these instructions are also very much important to you, and we use these instructions repeatedly in the programs that we write here. They are nothing but control transfer instructions. Okay, what are those? The next category of instructions are control transfer instructions. Okay, so what do you mean by control transfer instruction? Suppose let us say we have some lines of code. Let us say these are the lines of code. We'll have some hundreds of lines of code. Right? Similarly, let us say 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, and similarly, let us say this is 10. Suppose we have 10 lines of code. Code means what? 10 lines of program, let us say, okay. In order to make it simple understanding, suppose that we have 10 lines of program. Let us say this is addition program, okay, addition program or any other program. Okay. So this addition program is having some 10 lines of program or 10 lines of code. Okay, 10 lines or 10 instructions, right? Suppose that the processor is working on fourth line. That means what? The control. What do you mean by control? You see a cursor, na? That is called control. Okay, so the control is in the fourth line. That means the processor is executing the fourth instruction. The processor is executing the fourth instruction, let us say. Okay. Suddenly, after executing the fourth instruction, the processor or the control shifted to ninth line. Shifted to ninth line. Okay. So this is what called control transfer. Okay, so without executing these lines in between fourth line and ninth line, without executing these, the control suddenly jumped from fourth line to the ninth line. This is what called control transfer. This is what called control transfer. Okay, so why do we have to shift this control from one location to another location? What is the importance here? Okay. So that is nothing but in some looping instructions or in some conditional instructions, in some conditional cases, we have to shift, we have to exclude these execution of instructions. Okay, so that is why when such necessity comes, we'll use this control transfer instructions. Okay, so let us now see what are different control transfer instructions we have. Hope the concept is clear to you. Okay, so what do you mean by control transfer? Okay, see, transfer the control to a specific destination or a target instruction. These do not affect the flags. Okay, so these instructions do not affect the flags, whereas in the previous category of instructions, that is processor control instructions, all the instructions that we learned affect the flag. That means they generally change the values of flags. That means they affect the flags. But these control transfer instructions do not affect the flags here. Do not affect the flags. Okay. So they just use the flag situation. They just use the flag status. Okay. They just use the flag values. How? Okay. How they are going to use this flag values, that I will show you. Okay. And these control transfer instructions are of two categories. One is unconditional transfer. Okay. Unconditional transfer. And another category is conditional transfer. That means what? What do you mean by unconditional and conditional? So as I told you, we'll have some lines of code. Na? Okay, we have some lines of code like this. So in that lines of code, we may unconditionally shift the control from one location to another location. Suppose, let us say, just a minute. Let us say we are working here. Our control is at this place. Okay, this is our control. Let us say. So from the next, by executing the next instruction, this is a control transfer instruction. I can say jump to ninth line. Jump to ninth line. Okay, without any condition. Okay, I can just say jump to ninth location. So it just jumps to ninth location. So there is no condition to verify. Okay, so such kind of transfer of control is nothing but unconditional transfer. Unconditional transfer. That means we are not specifying any what you can say, any condition here for transfer of control from this particular location to this location. That is the meaning here. Okay. So such type of unconditional transfers are call. Okay. So call, RET, return, and JMP, jump. Okay. So these two are related to one particular thing, that is called subroutine. So you need to know regarding this subroutine. What is this subroutine? So I'll explain this. Just listen to me very carefully. So most of you might be knowing the C language. Most of you might be knowing the C language. In C language, you might have come across what you can say, a word called function. Okay, a word called function. Okay. What is the importance of functions, or what is the meaning of functions? Okay. So in a program, when an operation is performed repeatedly, in a program when an operation is performed repeatedly, for that operation we do not write that code repeatedly in the program itself. We write that code separately, and we call that function whenever required. Okay, and we execute that, we take the result and return from that particular thing. Okay, so that is the thing. అంటే ఏంటంటే, సపోజ్ ఏదైనా ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ రాస్తున్నాం, లెట్ us say a factorial program. Okay, ఆ ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో నాకు what do I want, మల్టిప్లికేషన్. ఓకే, మల్టిప్లికేషన్ అనేది నాకు అవసరం. సో ఆ మల్టిప్లికేషన్ నేను ప్రతిసారి చేయాలి. సపోజ్ నేను ఒక 100 నెంబర్స్కి ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్ కడుతున్నాను అనుకోండి. 100 ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్ కడుతున్నాను అంటే ప్రతిసారి నేను మల్టిప్లై చేయాలి. ప్రతి నెంబర్కి కూడా నేను మల్టిప్లై చేయాలి. సో అలా ప్రతిసారి నేను మల్టిప్లై చేయాలి అంటే ప్రతి నెంబర్కి నేను మల్టిప్లికేషన్ కోడ్ రాయాలి. అలా ప్రోగ్రాంలో ప్రతి నెంబర్కి నేను మల్టిప్లికేషన్ కోడ్ రాస్తే నా ప్రోగ్రామ్ పెద్దదైపోద్ది. సో దానికోసం నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే, మల్టిప్లికేషన్ కోసం అని నేను సపరేట్గా ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ రాసుకుంటా. ఐ రైట్ ఏ సపరేట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఫర్ మల్టిప్లికేషన్. సో whenever I require the multiplication operation, I just call that multiplication function. I just call that multiplication function. Then after calling that, multiplication operation is performed. I'll get the result of multiplication, and I'll return from that operation. So similarly, how many times I require that multiplication operation, I use this particular function. Okay? So in C language it is called function, whereas in microprocessor language it is called subroutine. It is called what? Subroutine. Okay, it is called what? Subroutine. Okay, subroutine is a code or a function written separately and stored at a particular place. Stored at a particular place. Okay, so in order to access that particular subroutine, we use call instruction. We use call instruction. This instruction is used to access the subroutine. Okay, so here these register, memory, or displacement gives you the starting address. Gives you the starting address of this particular subroutine. Okay, so the subroutine will have several lines of code and that will be stored in a particular place. It may be either a register or it may be either what you can say a memory location in the memory, okay, or it may be some other place. Okay, so that will have some starting address. Okay, so that starting address will be given here. That starting address will be given here. Okay, so when you use call starting address, then that particular subroutine will be accessed. Okay, and after execution of subroutine, we have to return to the main program. We have to return to the main program. So for return, we use this instruction. We use this instruction. Okay, so return from subroutine. It returns to the main program from where we called it. Right? That is one kind of control transfer. This is one kind of control transfer. Okay, so up to this call instruction, the control will be in the main program. The control will be in the main program. Whenever we are executing this call instruction, the control is suddenly shifting to the subroutine location. Okay, so that is the meaning of unconditional transfer. Here we are not specifying any condition. If this is so, we have to go there. If this is so, we have to shift there. Okay, so that kind of conditions we are not specifying here. That is why this is called unconditional transfer. Okay. And similarly, jump. Okay, so JMP means what? Jump. Jump to a register location, jump to a memory location, jump to any other displacement location or any other 16 displacement location. Here we are not specifying any condition. Here you can observe that we are not specifying any condition. We are just saying jump. We are just saying jump. Okay, so just after execution of this instruction, whatever the register location or whatever the memory location or whatever the displacement location that is given in the instruction will be accessed. Okay, the control will get transferred from the current location to the given location in the instruction. That is about unconditional transfer. Unconditional transfer. Okay. Similarly, we will also have conditional transfers. So for conditional transfers, what we will do is we will access the flag register. We will access the flag register controls. Okay, we will access the flag register controls. That means we will take the help of carry flag. We will take the help of parity flag. We will take the help of uh, what you can say zero flag. Okay, so if we have a zero flag as zero, if we have zero flag as zero, now we have to jump to a particular location, or else if the carry flag is 1, jump to a particular location. If the parity flag is 1, jump to a particular location. So that kind of conditions will be putting. That kind of conditions will be putting. Okay, so such type of instructions are called conditional transfer instructions. Let us now look into them. What are those conditional transfers? So this is a conditional flag. They check the flags because they are using the flags here. If the conditions are true, the program control is transferred to the new memory location in the same segment by modifying the content of instruction pointer. Always the instruction pointer will contain the address of the next instruction to be executed. Okay. So in this case, the instruction pointer content will be changed automatically. Okay. Generally, the instruction pointer control, what you can say, consists of the address of the next instruction to be executed. But when you are using these control transfer instructions like jump instructions, the instruction pointer content will be changed automatically. That means the instruction pointer content will now change to the address location or memory location which is specified in the jump instruction. Okay. Let us see those instructions here. See, these are the conditional instructions. You can see JC. JC means what? Jump on carry. Jump on carry. That means what? If we get the carry flag is equal to 1, if we get the carry flag is equal to 1, we have to jump to a location. Okay. And similarly, jump on no carry. That means if we have no carry, if the carry flag value is equal to 0, then we have to jump to a particular location. Okay. Similarly, JP, jump on parity. That means if parity flag is equal to 1, then you have to jump. Okay. If parity flag is not equal to 1, or if the parity flag is equal to 0 also, then you can jump. Jump on overflow. Overflow flag is equal to 1. Jump on overflow flag is equal to 0. Jump on sign flag, okay, is equal to 1. Jump on sign flag is equal to 0. Next, similarly, jump 0. Jump on 0. That means if the 0 flag is equal to 1, okay. Jump on 0. Jump on no 0. JNJ means what? Jump on no 0. That means this is wrong here. Z is equal to 0. Okay. That means if the 0 flag is equal to 0. Okay. So these are all the different, what you can say, conditional transfer. Conditional transfer instructions. Okay. Hope you all understood the difference between unconditional transfers and conditional transfers. Okay. So that ends your instruction set of 8086. And after instruction set, you will have one more important topic called assembler directives. Assembler directives. Okay. So this is also one kind of instruction set, but these are repeatedly used in the what you can say program execution. So regarding that assembler directives, we'll discuss that in the next class. Okay. So now I'll stop here. If there are any doubts now, you can ask me.